this weekend. It was insane. I don't know how you get it wrong. Let's make it a little more triangular. How do you mean spill a vegetable? I don't know. But yeah, I feel like Dojima was okay for what it was. It wasn't great, and it wasn't like bad either. It was just like okay. I made some profit. Didn't make a lot of profit. I would say it's pretty standard. Like I made X amount of money, and then like half of it was day 2. Oh, so what I was reading just now, because I was late. I was late. The timer ran out, and I was still like reading about the drama. It wasn't really drama. The Discord for conventions in Singapore have like a little like discussion thread. Profit is profit. I mean, for the amount of time, I technically profit is not profit because I haven't actually paid myself or my fiance for spending, you know, our time over the weekend. I've been doing cons for many, many years, and technically I should be paying myself for spending time and effort preparing for the con. But of all the years that I've done cons, I don't think, because if I were to pay myself, it would not be profit at all. It would never be profit if I had to pay myself. Yeah, so like it's only profit because I didn't pay myself, you know? That's why it's profit, because I didn't pay myself. It was, I would say it was better than last year, at least. I did really badly last year for Dojima. So this year was a little better, I feel. Um, but that's also like hardly comparable because last year I shared a booth with 2 other artist friends of mine, and we were like literally cramped up in this tiniest of space with almost like, you know, we were all just cramped up, to be honest. Like, so, you know, display is very important. But I'm not complaining. It was like the first con back after after COVID. Everything was on fire, you know. Standard stuff. 目を過ごしに重なってた初めて会った日から僕の心のすべてを奪った僕が儚い空気も泣こう君は目をしてたんだチクタクとなる世界で何度だってさ溺れそうでもありきたりな喜びきっと二人なら見つけられる探し日々に笑えない君に My Helldiver stickers did really well 明けない夜に落ちてゆく前に噛んでほら忘れてしまいたくて腰越えた日々に抱きしめたのこのリテトですから怖くないよいつか広がるまで二人でいようあ My inking this is barely it Hulkers this is barely it I always feel like I want to talk a lot more about niching down, but I feel like I have done the years that I have done doing cons to get to where I am today. Because if I didn't do them, I wouldn't be here. Like I wouldn't be here doing like the Soulsborne and like gaming stuff that I do now. Because back in the day I was doing a lot of like, I was chasing the hype basically, but back then it was like Overwatch was popular, you know, some anime was popular as well. So there were a lot of things to chase and there were things within my interests. But I think there was a turning point where they no longer intersect, like the two Venn diagrams no longer intersect, and I was like, oh shit, I've got nothing to draw for cons that I actually care about. I'm a simple man. I feel like Democracy merch will do well for a while. I'm a simple man. I just like ink stage. I'm glad you do, because for the longest time I never thought people would. But I seem to have lucked out on gathering the people that enjoy watching me ink stuff. Which is good, because as of now I ink everything. It's actually kind of crazy, but yeah. I don't think you've seen some of my old work, Hokers. I can pull them up for you. I can pull them up for you, my good sir. I was not like this back in the day where I started art. Back in the day, I thought rendering was the way to go, you know, because everyone wants to see like freaking, you know, rendered ass shit, you know, the digital painting. This is my D&D character that I no longer use, but like, you know, I drew like line art stuff as well, but you know, this was me back in the day where I thought rendering like illustrations was the god of everything, and if I don't render my shit, nobody will fucking buy it. So this was the early age of me trying to freaking do like fully rendered art. You can see how ugly and shit it is. And I did a lot of League of Legends and a lot of like Overwatch art. I did line art back in the day as well, but it was not as well received, I would say. Like I did these, like stuff like this, right? Where it's closer to what I do nowadays, but it was not well received back in the day. And I was too young and too naive to like lean into it and just like trust the process. Yeah, well, nobody bought it, Hokers. So, you know, back in my day, nobody bought it. So I went through an entire stage of rendering is God and I should just learn how to render. So I did a lot of this was a whole project and a whole story and a half, and I don't want to get into it, but this is basically like the early stages of me being an illustrator, or me learning to be an illustrator, and me thinking that rendered art is the way to go. Like I gotta paint, you know, I gotta make things look rendered and pretty, like all the League of Legends illustrators. I still did like line work stuff. These didn't do really well either. These didn't do well, alright? I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. These didn't do well either. So I was really under the impression that even this didn't do well. I drew 3 of them. Hold on, let me find it. There we go. I drew all 3 of them, which I thought were like hella cute, you know. I did a thing, you know. They're hella cute, right? The 3 sirens, you know. A little bit graphic design, you know. Graphic design is my passion. And I thought they would do well. They didn't do well either. So a lot of my early like artist journey was literally me thinking that nobody enjoyed the line art that I did. Like no, I was literally just under the impression that if it didn't sell and nobody responded to it, it meant that like people didn't care about my line art. Like people didn't like it. I did a shit ton of them. Hold on, let me find it. I did this as well. I absolutely love the Gotham Sirens, and I did this as well. This entire set of like 3 different prints were up for sale at an event in KL. They were really big. They were blown up to like A1 or AO, and it's basically for collectors. Literally, it's for collectors, and nobody bought them. Nobody bought a single one. So I was just under the impression that nobody liked these things that I did. This was back in 2018, 2019, where I did this for like a show where a lot of the local artists like put out Marvel DC stuff, and basically it was just for sale. This nobody bought the print. Cry. Hi Bonifika, welcome in. But yeah. Hi Kiki, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. And so that was me. That was me under the impression that I needed to do like rendered stuff. Kinda sort of. Where were me? I don't know, I don't know. But so you know, I did a bunch of these where like, you know, like holy shit man, I rendered the shit out of this. Look at that. Wasn't great, but I was there. And I love this piece to bits. I did such a good job. Good job, me. Pat myself in the back. But again, like nobody bought it, and so I was these were all back in the day where I was like figuring out my place in social media as well. I was just drawing things that were interest to me, right? And so this was kind of me finding a middle ground of like doing line art and still like giving it the rendered feel. But this took too long, man. It took too fucking long. This took too fucking long, dude. But it was the evolution of it, right? And so I went back to doing like rendered stuff, you know, just fully rendered art. I was obsessed with Destiny 2 back in the day. These are not great, honestly, but now they're not great. But back then, I was like, yeah, I'm such a good artist. Like, I was trying to find a middle ground between doing line art and rendering to make it sort of look like an illustration still, but you know, I think it's still kind of ass. What else? So I did a lot of painting, basically. I painted like a bitch. Cried a lot while I painted too. I mean, sure, if you could, but all these like old art is not coming back. I don't think I will. They're too like niche right now, but you know, back then I did a lot of whatever interested me, basically. But yeah, you can come by and buy the current art, basically. You can buy the current art, not the old art. But yeah, waiting for my Gengar boy, you just come by. These characters are here to stay. They're not gonna leave anytime soon. But I basically did like rendered stuff. I was going through an entire age of just rendered stuff is God, so I did like rendered shit, you know? Even this was kind of rendered. It's like there's no line art. I painted everything like a loser. Yeah, it's a canon event. Yes, it is. It totally is. Cause like, dude, like I spent all this time. Look at I spent all this time like rendering all this shit. And for what? I was like here or there. I was like in between kind of figuring out like where I wanted to stand, because I love these pieces as well. Like these literally just line art and cel shaded FGC girls. I love these pieces. These pieces are still so cute to this day. So I was like, you know, figuring out this is more like graphic design stuff. But I was like figuring out like what I wanted to do, basically. I still did like rendered stuff. Still. I was like, oh my god, look at okay. But you know. I do. I keep them because on the rare occasion somebody like this, right, would like instigate the whole journey back to the past, and I'm like, oh man, back in the day I was such a shit artist and I thought that like rendering would make me like popular on the internet, but it never did. And then eventually over the years I kind of just gave up and just like, fuck it, you know what, I'm just gonna do line art. I'm just gonna do line art. Look, this was the year where I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna pivot and I'm never looking back. Like I literally just pivot and just no. Not gonna waste my time painting anymore. I painted like one thing this year and it was this stupid ass thing. It was this thing that didn't even win the fucking competition. It is my jam too, and for many years, Fokers, I'm gonna be like, it's the saddest thing, but for many years, I was literally like fighting myself because I was so stuck in that mindset of like, oh, I need to render so that people actually care about my art. Like if I don't render, I think that people don't care about my art. So it has taken me many years to just be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and people are gonna like it regardless. I'm gonna just do this, you know? I'm gonna just this. This is what I'm gonna do. And people are gonna like it whether, you know, they're gonna like it. It's taken me many years to just be like, I'm gonna just do this. I'm not gonna paint anymore. I'm not gonna render anymore. I'm just gonna do lines. Just do lines and not... Yeah. I've come a long way. The one thing I rendered, I reached my destination. No, not yet. The one thing I rendered in this 1 year was this, where there was a competition to win some Kamigawa booster packs, and I lost. I freaking lost. The whole competition was basically that you had to reskin an old Kamigawa card to fit the neon Kamigawa like aesthetic. And this was my entry, and I fucking lost. I didn't win a single shit. I didn't win like consolation or whatever. I didn't win anything. And you know why? Because it was a popularity contest, and I was so pissed off because you literally had to get your friends to vote, and I was just like, okay. I was like, okay. I've got bigger fish to fry in my life than to bother my friends for... You do lines? That's hardcore. No, it's not. It's not. It's not hardcore at all. It's literally the thing that I do now. And I've been doing it for 2 years now. Like, look. It has taken me so many years, and I think... Yeah. I'm not there yet, but I'll get there, I guess. Yeah. Okay, back to arting. Enough talking. Thank you for sharing. Always happy to share. I also like looking back on my journey as an artist anyway. And so it's just lore for the people that like you have been around or like just found out about me but don't really, you know, have been hanging out for quite some time and are big fans of the art, but you know, it came a long way. The lore is deep around these parts. And I feel like I owe my entire artistic journey to Elden Ring. Not gonna lie, I owe it all to Elden Ring. Because I pivoted that year where I played Elden Ring for the first time. I was introduced to a Soulsborne, Souls-like game that I never expected to spend time on or be like completely obsessed with, but I was. And decided to do art on it regardless. I actually did the Elden Ring art without actually thinking whether, like, for once, without actually thinking whether it would sell at cons. I just did it because I love the game so much. And I think that was a really big turning point for me as an artist. And what made it even better was I didn't really think too much about it when I made it a print as well for Comic Fiesta. Hookers. My most expensive thing at the booth last year at Comic Fiesta was 200 ringgit. just to give you a gauge of how much you would be spending at my booth. Did you play? Okay. Of all the Soulsborne like art I've done, I have not played any one of them beyond Elden Ring. I'm not saying you are going to spend $200. 200 ringgit. I'm not saying you will, but that is the most expensive thing at my booth last year at Comic Fiesta, and I didn't intend to sell it, but so many people were asking for it that I sold it for 200. It was the huge ass like banners of the Baldur's Gate characters that so many people came by and they were like, "Are you selling this?" And I'm like, um, I printed them for display, but if you want it, I guess." They sold out, all of them. Someone bought so I had three of them. I had one for Astarion, I had one for Karlach, and I have one for Shadowheart. I printed one. I printed one for display, just like I did the year before for Elden Ring, because I just think that like if people can see my stuff from afar, they will come to my booth. I'm a strong believer that if people can see if people can see my art and they're interested in it, they're gonna come to my booth. So I just need them to be able to see my art, even though there's a crowd in front of my booth. You can still see the poster, and that was just the strat that I was going for. I never intended to sell it. So when people, yeah, exactly. So when people asked about it, I was like frantically not ready to like name a price because I only had one. But no, like they were all bought by somebody. So somebody somewhere like forked out that money for the poster, and I'm as surprised as you are. But I'm forever thankful for the support that I get when I come home for Comic Fiesta every year. Cause I get it, you know, like everything's expensive, but everybody, like the people that are important, the people that are fans of my work, they show up. And they make my trip every year worth it. Not just the monetary reasons of it, but also just because like I'm very happy to be back home and to you know meet the people in my community. I know I don't travel back home for cons very often, but that's not my fault because the cons back home don't want me. I've applied for multiple cons back in KL, but they just don't want to give me a spot. Time to shift my gaslighting straight to my We didn't get to go shopping last year? Why? Why? How did you not go shopping last year? I was right at the door. But it's okay. This year, we have Shadow of the Earth Tree. So Elden Ring is coming back, which means I still can't phase out my Elden Ring prints. But it's okay. I'll make. I think I won't have time to play Shadow of the Earth Tree so soon because I'm still playing Hades, which is kind of like pain. I only have so much time in the day to like play games, and I feel like there's so many. We had different shifts, so we couldn't gaslight each other, and I had volunteering. Understood. It's okay. Now you have goals. You have goals. Your goals is to come to my booth. I don't know if I'll get a booth like this year, so I usually don't want to like, you know, have my hopes up on like every year Comic Fiesta will give me a booth, because I'm pretty sure there will be a year where Comic Fiesta is like, nah, no booth for you. You know? Just don't sleep, problem solve. I don't want to give hopes up, but I can try to talk to them. You can try. That's what I tell everybody. I'm just like, you know, if you want me back, you have to send a worded email to Comic Fiesta and tell them like, you know, you need to get this artist. You need to get this artist in here. This artist is important. Important for my mental health. I go straight to the person doing the boothing. I know people who know people. Honestly, last year I was genuinely surprised. You know why? Because I was really, really scared. My booth was right at the entrance. Like the entrance, like where people like immediately walk in. And from the last, like from the fiasco of the year before, I was so scared because the year before what happened was that the crowd management was absolute ass. And so all the booths that were at the door, their sales were impacted because everyone was being rushed into the hall where so they didn't have time to browse the booths that were at the door. And so last year when I was at the door, I was like, oh God, pray for me. I was like, good Lord, pray for me, please. I was very, very scared when I saw my booth placement, but I was like, we make do, I guess. If we don't get sales, then you know, it do be that way. But yeah, I was genuinely surprised. I did pretty okay. I did pretty good. Okay is an understatement for. Was that 2020? Yeah, it was. The arrangement was also that the budget booths were at the door and then the premium booths were slightly more inside. So, you know, I don't know. But last year the premium booths were in the front compared to the year before. So, you know. "2022 was the year where I a canon event happened to me at the con where I literally sold out on my Millennia print on like day one, and then I was like, what do I do now? Nah, you missed it. I had a giant ass Millennia. I had people at my booth like almost fighting for the Millennia print, and I was like, oh my goodness, please, guys. Oh, not like this, don't fight, please. I sold out on day one, which never happens, which has never happened to me in any con ever. And it was such a canon event that it literally launched the trajectory of everything else that I do after the con and the rest of the years that follow. Maybe my booth was a little too crowded. The lighting was also shit as well.